In our second example, we have somebody on the right side of this, let's say it's a block of glass, and someone else is going to smack a hammer against one side of that. It's 100 meters long, and the person on the right is going to hear the sound as it travels through this sheet of glass or this block of glass, and you're told that the wavelength of the waves being formed is 10.9 meters. So we want to go ahead and we want to figure out what is the speed of these waves through glass, what is the frequency of the sound being produced, and as a kicker, if it wasn't a solid block of glass, if it was a glass tank and it was filled with water, would we expect the speed to be higher, lower, or the same? So we'll go through each of these. The first one, again, we know the distance. We know up top right, it tells you that it takes about 0.016 seconds from the time that hammer hits the glass to the person on the right hearing it. So we can simply use the distance of 100 meters. It takes that wave 0.016 seconds to traverse that 100 meters. So distance over time gives us about 6,250 meters per second, which is close to the 6,000 meters per second we would typically expect of some kind of solid. For the frequency, now we can use our wave speed equation. The speed is 6,250 meters per second. We found that up top in part A. We know the wavelength we're given is 10.9. So if we solve, we can find that the frequency of these waves is 573.4 hertz. Every second that goes by, you're going to get hit with 573.4 of these waves. Last but not least, what will happen if instead of a solid sheet of glass, it was really a glass aquarium filled with water? Hopefully you realize it'll be lower because waves travel slower in liquids because there's a little bit more space compared to the solid. If it was completely empty and it was just a glass box filled with air, it would be slower. I mean, we'd have to ignore the fact that you still have a solid there. So inside the tank, it would be slower. Technically, the sound through the actual glass tank would actually be pretty quick. So in a weird way, if it was filled with air, you'd first hear the sound through the ear that's touching the solid, and then a split second later, you'd hear another sound, the one that traveled through the gas in the middle. So that became way more complicated than I intended, but it was a fun question to answer.